I don't think his defensive side is as bad as it's made out to be. Why not play Trent at right back? Drop Walker if you have to. I know Walker brings a lot to the team, especially with his recovery pace. But play Trent at right back if you want to utilise his attacking skills. Let him do what he does from right back, because at Liverpool, that's where he creates most of his chances, or all of his chances. He's not doing it from the middle. Let him stay where he usually plays. Let him create what he can from that side of the pitch.
Between the lines.
Yes, my Between the Liners, welcome to the match reaction for England versus Serbia, the first England game of Euro 2024, and England have won 1-0 versus Serbia. A bit of a mixed reaction from the press, from the social media, from family, from friends alike. Some people saying they're a bit underwhelmed by the performance. Some people saying same old England. Obviously, you guys know I went to school with Harry Kane, England's captain, Harry Kane, as you can see in the picture behind me. So you know I'm pretty biased when it comes to Harry Kane. I always gas up his performances. I'm always in support of his performances. Today, you might hear a different side because I've got some kind of concerns. Also, not all down to Harry Kane. Some is slightly to blame on the manager, Gareth Southgate, who also gets a lot of criticism from all angles because of his lack of managerial experience. Some people say he's a bit of a coward. Some people say he's not bold enough. To be fair to him, before this tournament, before we came into the tournament, you'd probably say he's made quite a few bold decisions. He's dropped the likes of Calvin Phillips, didn't take his guy Harry Maguire, obviously because of injury. He's taken Luke Shaw, didn't take Rashford, didn't take Sterling, didn't take Grealish, all which are bold choices. He's taken young prospects like Mainoo and Adam Wharton and Cole Palmer after breakout seasons this season in the Premier League. So you got to respect Gareth Southgate. He's probably not been as pragmatic as he used to be in terms of coming into the tournament, but yesterday's game might be a different story. We'll take it into the team. Honestly, I think Pickford was pretty decent as usual, as he usually is in an England shirt. Never really lets down his country. One slight weird punch at one point when England were under pressure, he probably could have dealt with better. But outside of that, I think he brings his usual commanding self to the England side. Trippier at left back, maybe a slight concern in possession. Defensively, you know he's solid. He hasn't had the best of seasons at Newcastle, but I think he did all right. Wasn't really troubled too much, but probably needs to do better in terms of progressing the team up further up the pitch, which is why obviously Luke Shaw's been picked despite having an injury hit season. But you know what he can bring down that left-hand side in terms of ball progression and carrying the ball up further up the pitch and helping your team build up the pitch. Guehi, I'm not going to lie, I was really impressed. Mark Guehi, is that how you pronounce it? Really impressed by his performance. Looked very solid, as he does in a Palace shirt very often in the Premier League. Looks like he's not really fazed by anything that comes his way. Mitrovic and Vlahovic are very tough customers to deal with, very physical teams, and I think Guehi dealt with them really well. In the first half as well, I think England team, one thing you might criticise them in the past for is the lack of physicality. And I think in the first half, especially the first 35, 40 minutes, they dealt with Serbia really well in terms of the physical side, because that Serbia team was, I think the average of the height was at 6'2" for the whole starting 11, which is pretty incredible, to be honest. And they're like really aggressive. And I think England dealt with that really well in compared to past tournaments where you'd probably think they'd be a bit timid. But I think they dealt with that really well. And Guehi was a good example of that. Stones, I think, was pretty decent. His usual commanding self from the back. Maybe could have done a bit better on the ball in terms of playing it out from the back and helping his team build up confidence, because I think the team lacked that confidence, especially in the second half. A number of times they kept hoofing it up into the air. Whereas guys like Stones and Foden and Walker, who play for Pep's Man City, or even Declan Rice, or even Trent Alexander-Arnold at certain times, these are guys that are good ball-playing footballers for their club size week in, week out. When it comes to the England game yesterday, you see that the tournament pressure and playing against a team that are completely up for it and willing to die for the badge, like Serbia are, a lot of these players that play on the floor week in, week out suddenly started hoofing it up every time they got an opportunity. And it shows the difference in pressure and the levels of, even though it's people say that international football isn't as good as club level football, you can still see that the pressures are completely different. And obviously playing for your country has a whole new meaning to it besides playing for a club. A lot of these players got transferred to these clubs, don't even support those clubs originally. So you can see there's complete different pressures. And I thought Stones could have probably done better. I thought Walker did his job well, didn't really have much trouble, was probably a good attacking threat down the right-hand side. Declan Rice, I thought, was a very measured performance, done his usual thing when he plays in that 6th row, sweeps up anything in front of the defence. And probably, I think he gets a lot of criticism for not finding like a quick pass forward. He's a bit tepid with it, a bit slow with it when he comes out trying to find a quick pass into the likes of Foden or Bellingham. But I think overall he done his defensive side very well. It's obviously still the first game of the tournament. We can't expect these guys to come flying out of the traps. Like, I'm sure we would like that because historically England sides are a bit slow in tournaments, especially under Southgate. But it's still the first game of the tournament. You've got to give the guys some kind of time and patience to let them build themselves into the team, into the tournament, to start playing better attacking football. I know Germany had good performance, Spain had a good performance, Italy had a good performance, but there's a lot of pressure on the England team, especially from the media. I feel like other teams are supported by their media and their fans. The England team and England fans and England media are very quick to criticise certain guys. So it feels like there's always an extra added weight of pressure. But Rice, I thought he did well defensively. Trent Alexander-Arnold, this is a bit of a weird one. I think Southgate's making a mistake trying to force him into the midfield. He's not played midfield enough in his career. He doesn't know the position well enough. I don't think he had a very bad game. I think he was a pretty average game. He's obviously got undeniable qualities on the ball. But I think the management are making a mistake with Trent. I don't see the need to force him into the middle when he does a perfectly good job at Liverpool playing at right back. I think his defensive criticisms are overstated, and it's not as bad as everyone makes him out to be. Yes, certain times in one-on-one positions, he gets found out, or maybe if a ball comes over his shoulder at the back post, he's not as alert. But it's not that often that it happens. I don't think his defensive side is as bad as it's made out to be. Why not play Trent at right back? Drop Walker if you have to. I know Walker brings a lot to the team, especially with his recovery pace. But play Trent at right back if you want to utilise his attacking skills. Let him do what he does from right back, because at Liverpool, that's where he creates most of his chances, or all of his chances. He's not doing it from the middle. Let him stay where he usually plays. Let him create what he can from that side of the pitch where he usually plays on a week in, week out basis since the beginning of his career. Play him into midfield where he's not familiar with the role. I felt like playing him there with Rice, he doesn't positionally, he's not in the correct position. Obviously, positionally. And also, the thing is, with playing him in the England midfield, I feel like he's there for his attacking outlet to find passes in the forward spaces, right? But I don't think England really lacks someone that can switch it long or pelt it right at your chest from 30, 40 yards out. England needs a player in that middle, someone that can break through the lines and pass through the lines in between spaces and find a Foden in a space or in a gap, or find a Bellingham in space, or find a Kane. Whereas Trent is more of a switcher, more of a long passer, more of a find someone going behind the defence, which he can do from right back. He's perfectly talented enough to do that from right back. I don't think he needs to take up a midfield slot. I think against a more stronger opponent, you can play Walker at right back, drop Trent. There's no need for him to play in the middle. You could easily play Robbie Mainoo there. I know I'm a United fan, I'm biased, but Mainoo is that between the lines player. He plays within the lines. He doesn't need to stay in that position. Whereas Trent he was floating around, but doesn't really know how to support the rest of his midfield while he's doing that position. Whereas Mainoo is a midfielder and can do that. Even Adam Wharton, if you want to play him, he's very good at playing between the lines, very good at shifting it side to side, finding a player in space in the middle. Whereas Trent is looking for a ball in behind or a switch or a diagonal at a quick time. I respect what Trent does and the ability he has on the ball. And he's a very forward-thinking, progressive player, but I don't think he's in between the lines like an England side really needs. Someone to find Foden and Bellingham in those spaces, and Kane, example. But yeah, I don't think Trent was as bad as everyone's making out, but it's also interesting how Gareth Southgate's first substitution was to take Trent off and bring on Gallagher, suggesting that clearly he needed someone to solidify the midfield, bring a bit more control in the midfield. And Gallagher does his thing, he gets himself about the pitch, he's a nuisance, he wins the second balls. That's another thing Trent doesn't do. I think he's a bit lackadaisical when it comes to reading the game. So if an England player gives a ball away or it's gone upfield, and Gallagher is quick to be in the Serbian player's face or opposition player's face, which he did yesterday, but he's not really sublime at anything, Gallagher. He's a bit of an all-rounder, workhorse, brings energy to the team. Was that the wrong substitution from Southgate? Would you not have rather tried to keep the ball in that moment? Because in that second half, Serbia were really pushing on and putting pressure on the England midfield. Why not get someone that can actually play football and keep the ball, such as Mainoo, such as Wharton, and play him in with Rice and let them pass around with Foden, or even a Palmer, for example. I know he brought in Bowen, and I respect Bowen a lot. Bowen's a very good footballer, but Palmer is capable of holding on to the ball, dribbling with the ball, creating chances out of nowhere, having a shot out of nowhere. He can help put pressure on the Serbian team, whereas Bowen, is a workhorse. He's going to work hard for the team and track back. West Ham kind of sit back as well. So it's almost like you're saying to the lads, look, let's dig in and hold on to this 1-0 lead rather than going for it even more. Bringing it onto the right-hand side, though, because I think, honestly, Saka is our best attacking threat in this England side right now. I've said it for months. I know I'm a United fan, but I love Bukayo Saka. I think he's an unbelievable footballer. His best trait, I think, is his unpredictability and his confidence in himself. He's not afraid to take the ball in any situation, in any angle. If he's under pressure, if he's free on the right-hand side, he's got the football brain, the football IQ to make the correct decision in a short amount of time. He knows when to hold that up. He knows when to attack his fullback. He knows when to put the ball into the box more often than not. And I think he's an absolutely sensational player. He takes a lot of weight of pressure on his shoulders, regardless of what team he's playing for. And honestly, I think a very special talent, man. I know he's at Arsenal, but I think there's even bigger and better things to come in Bukayo Saka's career. He even got the assist, didn't he, for Bellingham's goal. We'll take it on to Bellingham. I think Bellingham put in a real man's performance, and you can see that going to abroad has taught him like the dark arts of the game. He knows when to waste time. He knows when to fall over and buy a free kick. He knows how to get in the opposition player's face. He knows how to impose himself on the game. He's not afraid of anyone on that pitch. He's willing to say that this game is mine, this team is mine, and I'm going to help take this team forward. And you see that in the goal. His character is defined by that goal himself. Never say die attitude. Wants to make the game his own. Wants to score a goal and help his team get in the lead and get a goal. And he's done that by determination and grit and obviously skill as well. And he got the goal, which is a great header and pure determination. Great goal and well played from Saka down the right hand side as well. I know it got a slight deflection, but it was still good play. Bellingham as well. I like one thing about Bellingham. I think he's only 20 years old. I don't want to be too harsh on him. He's one of England's best players, but one thing I feel like he tries to do too much because of his attitude and his character. He wants to take too much responsibility sometimes. Sometimes just pass a simple ball. You can see Foden available on the edge of the box. Pass it to him. Foden's been dangerous on the edge of the box the whole season. Give it to him. Let him get another chance. Sometimes know your ability and know what you're best at and keep it moving. Bellingham, he's obviously had an unbelievable season further forward for Madrid. But sometimes when a simple pass is on, pass it. You don't need to hold on to the ball too long and try to do too much just because you want to be that guy and just because you are that person, you are that imposing character. But sometimes know what's best for the team rather than try and do too much for yourself. But obviously he's a very good team player, Bellingham. Foden, I know there's a big debate about Foden. Look, I wouldn't play him on the left-hand side. I know a lot of people wouldn't. He's probably best in the middle, behind the 10, behind the striker, in the 10. But he still also should do better. The same way like Bellingham imposes himself on a game, Foden hasn't done that in an England shirt, which he's been criticised for before in the past. Even yesterday, it's just like he's a bit timid, and I feel like the pressure gets to him playing in England shirt. Yes, he hasn't got as good of a players around him as a City side, but still, you've got very good players in that England squad, and you should be doing better. If you're Philip Foden, a player with that talent, he should be grasping the game by the scruff of the neck, the same way he does for City. But he didn't really do that yesterday. Still early days in the tournament, so I don't want to be too harsh. I know there's a lot of talk saying get him out of the team, it imbalances the team. I don't think that's correct. I think let him play on the left if you have to squeeze him in there, and then let him come centrally. Let him swap around with Bellingham and Foden. Let them two swap around and interchange their positions so they can both have a bit of fun forward and a bit of freedom in different spaces and confuse the opposition as well. Another thing though, coming back to Southgate as the manager, tactically, you could argue why not play Bellingham in alongside Rice or a bit further than Rice, maybe Rice in the 6, Bellingham in the 8, Foden in the 10. It could easily work. I know Southgate keeps saying that Bellingham's played in the 10 for Madrid a lot of the season. Maybe, but he's also played 6 before in his career. He's also played, 8 before in his career. He's also played 8 for Madrid this season. Why not put Rice and Bellingham in the middle and put Foden above them, and then put out an actual traditional winger on the left-hand side, such as a Gordon? Ideally, I'd like to see Rashford in the squad. I think Rashford's had a very bad season, but he'd probably be a very good threat on this left-hand side, to be honest. Obviously, depends on what Marcus turns up. But I think, all right, let's forget about Marcus because he's not in the squad. But Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side, I think would be unbelievable alongside Foden and the 10, Kane up front, Bellingham and Rice in the middle, Rice, Saka on the right, and then got Gordon on the left. I think will be unbelievable. That kid is special, man. He's a very good player and he works hard for the team, and he's definitely got ability to cause havoc in an international tournament. So I think Southgate probably needs to have a rethink. I don't know if he's going to play Trent in the middle again. I personally would stick him at right back, especially against the lesser sides. You don't need a Kyle Walker all the time. A lot of these times, I don't know what the possession stats were actually, but I would assume that England would have more possession stats than... well, they had 53% against Serbia, so not too much. But anyway, we'll move it on. I think stick Foden in the 10, but I don't think it's as bad as the whole country's making it out to be. It's still early days. And also, by the way, I think Foden come towards the end of the season, or more specifically the FA Cup final, and now this game, he looks tired, to be honest, and he looks a bit mentally drained. And that can happen with all the success he's had in his life and all the pressures he's been under this season to be like the main man for Man City. That pressure can take his toll in the end, and maybe he's mentally fatigued. He needs to like build up his confidence again. And then you can see the best out of Phil Foden in the England team. Harry Kane, I'm not going to lie, slightly disappointed. Obviously, Harry Kane's my guy. I went to school with him, as you guys know. I think people have tried to say to him before that he needs to stay up top and stay out of the middle, or don't drop deep. But Harry Kane's best attributes are when he drops deep and then he moves forward and finds a goal. Whereas if you keep him forward, he's kind of marked out the game. That's what I thought like Serbia were doing that. And a lot of the times in the second half especially, they kept kicking it up, lumping it up to him, the defenders, and expecting him to hold off 2 big Serbian defenders who are very experienced in their own right. And he was kind of being marked out the game. I'm seeing Gary Lineker saying Harry Kane will be happy with that performance because as long as the team wins, and he almost scored because the keeper made a good save in the second half from the header from Kane. If I'm Harry Kane, knowing Harry Kane, I don't think he'll be happy with that performance. Harry Kane likes getting involved with the game as much as he can. And when you got a player of that ability, why are we trying to get the best out of Bellingham and Foden and Trent, for example, when Harry Kane is one of the best players in the world right now? We should be trying to get the best out of Harry Kane in the team rather than the lesser so-called talent. They're obviously still unbelievable talents, but Harry Kane is the standout talent. You should be trying to get the best out of him. If Harry Kane plays better when he drops deep, and that's going to help the team score more goals and be better, shouldn't that be the main tactic rather than trying to force Foden or Trent or Bellingham in there? You should be forcing Harry Kane into his best position. Keeping him on the last line of defence isn't... Harry Kane's not as effective there. He's better when he drops deeper. He's better when he drops deeper and he releases the wingers to go forward. And then Harry Kane meets the midfield, meets the strikers, meets to play, attacking play when he comes towards the. Once he drops deep, passes it out wide, then he pushes forward. Then he's dangerous because he comes in late onto a header or a shot, and you know how clinical Harry Kane is. So I think he only had 2 touches in that first half, which is extremely disappointing. Gary Lineker in the BBC punditry said that Harry Kane will be fine with that. I very much disagree, to be honest, because I know how much Harry Kane loves being involved in the game. And I think, like I said, utilise the best out of your best players, and Harry Kane is the best player in that team. At the same time, I'm not going to lay all the blame on Southgate, because I think Kane probably could have done better yesterday. Even though he's not being played in the right position, he's still obviously a striker. But trying to play, even him, he should understand, trying to play the physical game against the Serbia, a very physical Serbian side, wasn't the best way to go about it. Get the ball on the ground, hold it up for your team, build your team up the pitch. That should have been Kane's main game, but I felt like he got too distracted by the physical side and the fighting. So he kind of overtook his football brain and decisions to play on the ground rather than not. But still, look, Harry Kane is obviously one of the best strikers in the world. I think Southgate has got a lot of work to do in terms of deciding who's going to be in the starting lineup for the next game. But still a lot of attacking, a lot of great players to have, and it's obviously a good player. Obviously, we didn't even see Cole Palmer. We saw Robbie Mainoo come off the bench, 100% win rate, 100% pass completion rate, Euros debut. Robbie Mainoo, absolute legend. I'm hoping he starts in the next game, because he probably should, to be honest, in that middle next to Declan Rice. Rice, Mainoo, and then Foden or Bellingham, whoever you want to play, is sensational. Honestly, the perfect balance. And what Mainoo brings to a team at the age of 18 years old, 19 years old, none of them bring that to the team except potentially Wharton as well, to be fair. And Wharton's a very good player. Look, outside of that, England have got Denmark next. Obviously, Christian Eriksen scored in his first goal in the Euros since he had the devastating heart attack. Going to be a tough team. They've got Højlund, who's a very tough striker. But you'd expect England to do well, and you expect a better performance. I know some England fans are saying same old England, but it can happen. First game of the tournament, there's a lot of pressure. I think Southgate has work to do with the personnel he chooses and the way he's setting up the team, which is a bit of a worry, because you'd have thought that he'd sorted that out before coming into the game. Maybe he needs to start taking a bit more risks like he did with the team selection, such as why not bring off Harry Kane in those last 20 minutes when he's not really holding the ball up anyway, he's not really been effective. Get an Ollie Watkins on, stretch the team, stretch the game, hit the ball over the top so Watkins can run on and push the Serbian team back. But we didn't really do that. I think he needs to drop Trent from that midfield, to be honest. I think play him at right back. Trent's good enough to play at right back v Denmark, let's be real. Like, you don't need Walker for that game, in my opinion. Play someone else in the midfield that is an actual midfielder. Give Cole Palmer an opportunity if you have to. Play Palmer on the left-hand side. He's more than capable of playing there. But yeah, that's my match reaction. Let me know what you thought of the game. I'm going to be trying to do a match reaction after every England game if I can. Depends where I am at the time. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment. What do you think about the performance? Who's the standout performers? What did you think about Southgate and playing Trent in the middle and not starting Robbie Mainoo? This is Between the Lines podcast. I'm your host, Adnan. See you in the next one. Come on, England. Oh, one more thing I want to say, actually. I've seen a lot of media hype before the tournament saying how England are favourites to win the tournament. I actually don't feel that way. I feel like the last 2 tournaments we've been better off than we are right now. So I don't feel as confident. I feel pretty relaxed. In the last 2 tournaments, I was really gassed. I was saying it's coming home. I was saying all sorts of wild stuff. But I feel pretty relaxed this tournament that I don't see England really winning. Like, I feel like we'll probably get to the semi-finals at best. I don't think we'll get to the final. I think it's going to be France. I said that before this game, by the way, as well. I think it's going to be France or Portugal. I think Portugal, to be honest. I think Portugal are favourites, and they got Bruno Fernandes, one of the best players in the world right now. And I think they're going to win the Euros. Let me know who you think is going to win the Euros. See you on the next one. Peace out.
Between the lines.